So, hello everyone. My name is Erin Fugate, and this is our Wednesday community call for the Visionary Leaders Collective. I'm one of the founding members, and I'm so excited for the call today because we are going to hear a very inspirational, powerful story of transformation and healing from my very dear friend, Aisha Harley. Now, this is a bit of a story to remind us too that when you meet people, when you share oils with people, you never know what they're actually going through. The day that I met Aisha, she was vibrant, beautiful, a yoga teacher, about to get married. She exuded class and abundance. And I just thought, wow, that woman is so amazing. She actually intimidated me slightly. And I never thought she was sick, never. So when she told me about her Lyme disease and also shared the story she's about to share with you, I was pretty humbled because it can be so easy to go through life meeting people and not really seeing the pain that might be behind their eyes, and also not realizing that we sometimes have a gift or something that we could share with them that might change their life. So Aisha Harley is a presidential diamond from Portland, Oregon. She is also one of the founding members of the Visionary Leaders Collective. As you can tell from her picture, she is a dog lover. She is a retired yoga teacher, a retired photographer, and an incredible, caring, loving woman, friend, wife, wellness advocate. And she has taken her diagnosis of Lyme and transformed it into a life of thriving. And we are going to hear her story. So Aisha, please take it away.
Thank you, Erin. Oh boy, the tears are coming and I haven't even started yet. Oh, I wasn't expecting this. Well, thank you for that beautiful introduction. And thank you all for being here, witness to this. I have not told this story in a long time. And I truly wake up every day and I am deeply and forever grateful for Erin, for introducing me to these oils, for doTERRA, for our community, for everything that doTERRA has brought into my life. I can't even fathom where I would be right now if it was not for our oils. I mean, I just truly can't even wrap my head around it. I mean, it's just not even conceivable. And I also, I really had to do some review because I haven't told the story in a long time, and I used to tell it all the time. And I used to identify with being sick and being a sick person. And I was a professional. I was a professional for a long time. I was a professional patient. And I was reflecting on how grateful I am that I don't identify anymore with being a sick person, that I am healthier and happier now. 10 years later, I just turned 51 this year, and I am healthier now than I was 10 years ago by far. So I'm so grateful for that. So today I'm going to blast through because we don't have a lot of time. And the last time I told the story, it was an epic 2 hours. So I did my best to condense the most pertinent information for you into 30 minutes. And so I'm going to kind of skim by a lot of stuff, assuming that all of you know about the power of doTERRA and why doTERRA. And I'm not going to go into all of the ingredients and all of the supplements, but I'm going to give you the overview of what I did to heal. So I'm going to share with you my story, and then I'm going to talk about the concepts of how to build a protocol and work with your foundational needs, your customized needs, and then also do a review of our 28-day antimicrobial protocol, which you basically repeat monthly. I did that for over a year, and then also talk about the symphony of the cells and where to begin. I also want to say that I am specifically talking about Lyme disease, but if you know anybody with any kind of autoimmune disorder, whether it be multiple sclerosis, whether it be Parkinson's disease, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, thyroid issues, unexplained health symptoms, this is a webinar that you may want to share, because oftentimes many autoimmune issues actually at their root, you can find Lyme. Okay, so I kind of already said this, but I just have to say it again. Thank you, doTERRA. Thank you, our community. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Dr. Josie. Thank you to all of you that have been there for me, that have supported me. And sometimes that hasn't been easy. I've had some really dark periods in my life, really dark periods and really scary times. And it was just for this medicine and our community that's really gotten me through. So I'm going to jump into my story. As a 20-year-old, I'm going to go way back into my 20s. I'm going to start there. As a 20 and a 30-year-old, I should have been the picture of health. I was very health conscious. I was a vegetarian for 10, 15 years. I was a yoga teacher. I had a regular Ashtanga and Kundalini yoga practice. My ex-husband and I had a yoga studio. I had a successful career as a photographer that was very physically demanding. I strived to do better and be good in the world and give of myself. And at the root of that, and what people didn't see, is that I was tired all the time. And there was always something wrong with me, like always something wrong with me. I was always chasing some issue, whether it was my thyroid or it was my skin or it was some, I was always the one to get sick. I kind of look back and really can see how I was kind of always like kicking my ass through life because I was always exhausted. But why should I have been that exhausted when I was in my 20s, right? Like I have more energy now than I did then. And I went to so many doctors. I went to naturopaths, I went to acupuncturists, I went to MDs. My mom started calling me a hypochondriac. I think my friends thought I was crazy because I was always showing up being like, oh, this is going on and I'm going to take this supplement for this issue. But it never really got to the root of anything. It never really solved the issue. So because if you have Lyme or you know somebody that is just always not well and you're like, what's wrong with them? Are they crazy? I had people telling me to go to a therapist. And it's really demoralizing. It really messed with my self-esteem. It did make me think I was crazy because everyone told me I was fine. So these are some symptoms that I was struggling with: chronic fatigue, thyroid. It was both hypo and hyper. It moved around. So at one point I was tested for Graves' disease. I was tested for Hashimoto's. I was tested for rheumatoid arthritis. I had heart palpitations. I would get lightheaded and dizzy when I would stand up. There were a few times that I flat out fainted, passed out on the floor, cold out. Fire trucks are being called. I had chronic body joint and ache pain. I just thought it was from all the yoga I was doing all the time. I was always at the massage therapist, always getting body work done. I had chronic candida issues. That was the worst. I had chronic sinus infections. After a surgery, got a DVT and was told by my doctor that I could have a stroke and die. That was intense. I had horrible cramps, horrible. I had endometriosis, lichen sclerosis, horrible brain fog. I felt like I couldn't read a page in a book and tell you what I had just read. I knew I wasn't stupid, but sometimes I just felt stupid because my comprehension was not there and I would just feel like spaced out all the time. I had a horrible memory. I'm still horrible with names. Depression and really severe anxiety. Racing thoughts. I went through a period where I never took action, but every day I thought about killing myself because I just wanted out. I just wanted out of my body. I wanted out. I couldn't take the pain. I became anemic. I had horrible cystic acne all over my chin for years, for years, 20s, 30s, 40s. I had chronic acne, horrible UTIs, adrenal fatigue, and 3 years of insomnia and stomach issues. So those are the ones I can remember. But I just want to give you an idea of, and it's not that all of these were happening all at once. They came at different times, but I just want to kind of give you this list because, you could go to the doctor with one of these things and they'd be like, do this or that. But it's like, you have to look at the whole picture. You have to look at all of it over a span of time and really ask why. Like, what is at the root of all of this? And it was only one doctor that I finally found, that I'll tell you about in a minute, that said to me, why is all of this happening? Like, let's get to the root. And I was like, thank you, please, because all these things are making me crazy. So the other thing I want to talk about is stress, especially chronic stress, because truly, we're all stressed. This last year has been horribly stressful, right? It's something that we're always managing, but at the root of several diseases, it starts with stress. And there's one thing to be kind of like in a day-to-day stress, stress does even have a little bit of benefit to us. However, when you're in a long sustained period of stress, it can wreak havoc on your system. And oftentimes, when I've talked to literally, hundreds of thousands of people with Lyme at this point, and I always ask, what happened before you were diagnosed? And time again, somebody will tell me about some tragedy. My parent died. I got a divorce. I lost a job. Like, something really traumatic happened. And so when I go back in time, there was a period, a long sustained period over several years, that my stress levels were at a 10 plus every single day. And I'm just going to kind of run through this because it's not that I want to dwell here. It's just that I want to give you an idea that this is something to really be aware of. And if you are in a time of chronic stress yourself, especially right now, it is a time to take extra care of yourself. Because I know now that I am vulnerable and I will always be vulnerable. And so if I am in a high stress period of life, I have to up my self-care. And oftentimes when your life is stressed, it's hard to take care of yourself. But I know if I don't, I could get sick again. So I know that my life friggin' depends on it. So for all of you, up your self-care. Like we say that all the time, but it's a real thing and it's so important. And don't wait until you have to get this sick to take care of yourself, because I did. I literally had to become so sick to really learn what self-care really truly was. So going back to 2005, my marriage was falling apart. It was a disaster. This all happened in a really short period of time. Literally a few weeks after I found out some horrible news about my ex-husband and what was going on in my life, my father was diagnosed with colon cancer. And then literally a week after that, I found a good friend dead on his living room floor who died from a staph infection, and my girlfriend and I found his body. That sent me into a state of stress, PTSD, trying to figure out my marriage, trying to help my dad, go through chemo and deal with all of that. In 2006, I finally got divorced. And then shortly after that, my father passed away. After that, I was in a horrible car accident on the freeway. I also had chronic shoulder issues from being a photographer for many years. I had a tear in my rotator cuff. I had frozen shoulder. I had bursitis. I was being tested for bone cancer. My doctor told me I had the shoulder of a 90-year-old woman. I was in chronic pain that kept me up at night, chronic pain. I couldn't carry my groceries. I was still trying to work. I was still lugging my equipment around. I was in chronic pain and in high anxiety, and I was exhausted. And I was so exhausted that I couldn't sleep. because I was so stressed. And so for 3 years, I did not sleep. And not sleeping is not what you need when you're so stressed and when you're so sick. I also, this like drove me into a state of deep depression. I was full of anxiety, grief. I already mentioned, like, on a daily basis, taking my life seemed like a really, really, really good idea. And it's given me a completely different understanding for people that suffer from depression and anxiety, because it's intense to be locked in your own head and your mind and your emotions, and you don't know what to do with yourself. So through this time, I actually connected with my current husband. My life was starting to look better. And then I got sicker, and it was literally a few months before my wedding. I had to have an emergency surgery. After that, DVT. After that, kidney infection, uterus infection. Just like my whole gut was brewing beer, and I just got worse and worse and worse. So I finally found a doctor who was an MD, an ND, and an acupuncturist. And I was like, that's my kind of doctor. I went to see him, and he was like, we need to figure out what's going on here. And he was the one that diagnosed me. And I remember the day he looked at me and he said, you have Lyme disease, after I took a whole gamut of tests and did all this work. And I looked at him and I was like, what? Like, what is that? I'm a city girl. Like, what do you mean I have Lyme disease? What is that even? I don't even know what that is. But that was the beginning of my healing. And it was validation that I wasn't friggin' crazy. Like, I was not crazy. There was something seriously wrong with me. And so, as scary as it was to hear that, it was the information I needed so I could heal, so I could get to the root of the problem and begin to heal on a core level. So I'm going to, because I know I don't have a lot of time left, I'm going to quickly go through this protocol, and you can take screenshots. You don't need to take a screenshot of this, because I just want to use this as a reference. I'm not even going to go over everything on the slide. But what I want you to know is I said, give it to me all. I went in, I spent thousands of dollars. Literally, I could barely work. Every dollar I made was going to my healthcare. It was expensive. Every single visit to my doctor, I would walk out with a $700 to $800 bill. I kid you not. And I was there every 4 to 6 weeks. I had tests. There were more supplements. I was taking 40 plus supplements a day. I was doing acupuncture, I was doing massage, I was a vegetarian for 10 plus years. I had to start eating meat. That was hard, but I was like, okay, whatever it's gonna take. So my diet switched to a primal diet. I removed gluten. I was like, I'm gonna do all the things. So the reason I'm showing you this slides is these are all the things I was doing. Okay, so this slide, that was the baseline of what I was doing. This slide, this was the Lyme protocol I was doing. I was also doing IV therapy. I was doing Rife treatments. I was doing regular infrared saunas to help me with my detox. I was a professional patient, and it was exhausting. It is a full-time job. It would take me over an hour every week to lay out my supplements. And I remember my niece saying to me, Tia, she's like, why are you taking so many supplements? I mean, it was insane. I had 40 plus supplements that I had to take all throughout the day. I hated it. It was horrible. So again, this was a treatment that was just for me, from my doctor. So please don't take this and try to use it because it was specifically designed for me by my doctor. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what I was doing. So in 2011, I was actually introduced to doTERRA in 2010 by Erin. Thank you, Erin, again, at the yoga studio. My life changed the moment she introduced me to the oils. And I didn't even know at the time yet I had Lyme disease. We decided to go to our first convention. I was afraid to take oils internally. I used them for a year and I love them, but I didn't really know what to do with them. And when we were there, I started taking Slim and Sassy just because, for no reason. And I literally started like drinking it all day long, and a miracle happened. In a couple of days, I friggin' slept. I slept through the night with someone else in my hotel bed and somebody else on the other side in like not good sleeping conditions because we were all crammed into a room. And that's the worst when you have insomnia, is when you're sharing a bed with somebody. And I slept and I was like, was that a whim? Did that really happen? Did I really sleep? Like, that must have been a miracle. And I had this aha moment at convention as I learned about the oils and I learned what they do. I said to Erin, I'm like, can't these heal me? Like, if they're antimicrobial and they're antibiotic and they're plant medicine, like, can't I use them to heal me? And so I also had these other things start to happen. My brain fog started to clear. And this was literally from this one bottle of oil. This is my desert island oil. I take this oil every day. Maybe soon I'll do a whole call just on this oil. I can't go into it all now, but I love this oil. So this was the beginning of things changing. So I went to my doctor and I said, I'm going to use these oils in my protocol. And he was like, great. And so he goes, let me help you. And we removed a lot of the herbs. He's like, let's take out some of the things. And I listened to I found this like video by Dr. Hill. You're not going to find it anymore online, but I found it. And he gave a protocol for Lyme. I actually have that protocol for you. And I just started doing it. And in time, things started to change. And this is after I was doing all that other stuff and nothing was really changing. So I did all that other stuff for almost a year. I just want to put that in a perspective for you. And it was this one oil that started to show me like little glimmers. I'm like, oh, there it is. Like, there I am. I'm sleeping. I mean, my sleep wasn't perfect, but I was friggin' sleeping. So what I want to go over with you, because we have a few minutes left, is I'm going to go over very quickly the concepts of what I did and how to build a protocol. And I promise you, Dr. Josie and I are going to do a longer, more detailed version. I have an epic 2-hour one that's hard to get through, that we're going to redo all of that and we're going to do it all soon. And so if you're really working with this, you can start with this information right now, but we will do a more detailed version to really lay it all out for you. So first of all, there's a really important concept that you really have to get for all of you, whether you're dealing with Lyme or not. I have been in remission now for 9 years, and I know without a doubt that I have not relapsed because I take oils every single day. I take my LLV every single day. I pretty much still do most of what I'm going to share with you every single day. And I know that I am doing as well as I am doing, because once you're in remission, it's still years to heal. It took years for me to be able to go to an exercise class again. That was the longest thing I did not have the energy to exercise for years after remission. And now I go and do a HIIT workout several times a week and go on 10,000 step walks and can go roller skating. There was no way I could do that when I was sick. So the power of taking your essential oils throughout the day is going to it's going to preserve your health. It is your best healthcare, in my opinion. It's like amazing what that does. So I'm going to very quickly kind of go over so think of the protocol as your daily foundations, your customized needs, and then your antimicrobial protocol. So when I work with somebody, everybody's going to be at a different level of health in their healing journey. And some people are so ill that they literally, you can't give them even that much, and you can't start them on a detox, because one thing that Lyme does is it depletes you. I was so depleted that you can't start detoxing and killing off the Lyme and sending somebody in this horrible Herx condition if they don't have any like nutrition in their body. The Lyme will take all that nutrition out of you. So you've got to start feeding your cells and building a foundation and building your strength before you want to start with the detox. So this is kind of a general baseline that I give everybody starting this protocol, and that would be the LOV, citrus oil in your water, the Slim and Sassy, frankincense under your tongue, and I don't have it on here, but also you could add copaiba in there. Terrazyme is going to help with your digestion, and PB Assist. So again, this is going to be like a baseline protocol. And I will say, I'm not going to go too much into this right now. I usually start people with a half dose of the LLV, and you can even start them slowly working up to taking all of these things, because you really need to see how somebody's responding. I have had some people literally put a few drops of oil under their tongue and they have a response to that. So you really have to see where the body is, how the body's responding, and then you can gradually work up the protocol. So please keep that in mind if you're doing this or if you're working with somebody. And then there's the customized needs, because again, this list can get big. It can be a lot of products that you're taking, but you know, one thing I really like to look at when someone has Lyme is, what are your most prevalent symptoms? Like, what are you suffering from? Are you sleeping? A lot of people with Lyme have chronic pain or are suffering from depression and anxiety. And I have learned firsthand that if you're depressed and you're full of anxiety, it is hard to do anything. And so addressing that mental, emotional support is key. And I have found the new adaptive caps, man, I wish they had come out years ago, because I take those twice a day and they have helped me greatly with depression and anxiety and racing thoughts and my sleep. So look at what's going on, and then you can bring in these additional products to help support. So if you have sleep issues, we have an incredible sleep line with our Serenity. If you have pain or inflammation, we have things for both topical and internal. Cellular support, I love the DDR Prime. In fact, the DDR Prime is what helped me deal with my DVT, and it helped bring my fibrinogen levels back to normal. So I saw results in my blood work from taking the oils. That's one thing that was cool about doing blood work every 6 weeks, is you could actually start to see the changes in your body. Most people with Lyme have energy and adrenal issues. So the Mito2 Max, and then the detox support, which is the Zindicrine. You've really got to help the body with detox when you're starting to kill off the Lyme, because when that toxicity load builds in the body, it will make you feel worse. And then you want to stop doing the protocol because you think it's making you worse. So you need to help the body detox. It's really critical. Now this, I'm going to go into the concept. This is not something that you would get into until you've done the protocol above, like for 3, 4, even maybe 5 months. And this is a 28-day rotation of 3 different formulas. We have the formula from Dr. Hill in here. We have a combination of taking the On Guard Plus, the GX Assist, and then oils you're going to take sublingually. So this is the information that Dr. Josie and I will really go through and break out for you, because it's just too complicated for me to get into right now. But the concept is that you take one of these formulas and you do it for 2 weeks every month. You do 2 weeks on, you do 2 weeks off. You do 2 weeks on, you do 2 weeks off. I did this for a year. And within a year, I went into remission, and I went into remission several years before my doctor anticipated. So much so that he started sharing my oil protocol with his patients. And that says a lot, because he was the top Lyme doctor in my area. He taught other doctors about Lyme. He was a Stanford graduate, MD, ND, and acupuncturist. Unfortunately, he has passed away. But I was honored when he started sharing the essential oils in his clinic. Like, that was a huge testament to what he saw happen in me. So that is that. And then also the Symphony of the Cells. The Symphony of the Cells was not something I was aware of when I was ill, but it is powerful medicine. It's just a process of layering the oils on your spine. If you go to our website at hellovisionary.life/SOC, we have an entire page with instructions on how to do Symphony of the Cells. And we recommend that you start with the infectious disease protocol. And this is something you could do 3, 4, 5, even daily, but as many times a week as possible. Even if you started with the LLV and that kind of baseline and started doing this every day to start with, this in itself could be a very powerful beginning. So just to wrap it up, because now I'm really kind of at our end of time part, where to begin. So again, just to review, start with the Healthy Habits Kit, get your daily foundational support, customize your needs, pick and choose what's going to best serve your symptoms, and start really, really slow, like 1 drop of oil, half the dose of the supplements, like really slow. That's really important. And then you can work up and trust your intuition, listen to your body. Take a journal and make notes about how you're feeling, because sometimes as you're healing, you'll have good days and bad days and good days and bad days. But if you put that on a graph, for me, it just continued to go up. My brain fog cleared. I started sleeping better. My anxiety was lessening. I could actually go on a walk with a girlfriend and not be exhausted afterwards. So those changes were slow, but over the course of the year, then all of a sudden there I was in my doctor's office with him telling me I was in remission. That was a day to celebrate, when I was in remission. And again, that was 9 years ago, and I have not relapsed, and I only continue to get better. Is my health perfect? No. Do I still have to work with things? Yes. But I live a happy, healthy, active life. Okay, month 2 or 3, start working into the symphony of the cells. Work with those oils topically. If you don't have anyone to put those oils on you, layer them on your feet, rub them on the back of your spine, just get them on your body. Month 3 to 4, maybe even into 5 month, start the antimicrobial protocol. Don't be too quick to jump into that protocol unless you feel really strong and like you're ready to kind of take on that level of detox, and then really support your body with the detox process. Infrared sauna, Epsom salts, the Zindacrine, that makes all the difference in helping you go through that detox process. And if you're new to doTERRA, I recommend just jumping in with the Healthy Habits Kit. This is going to give you what you need to get started. And then in month 2, you can get the oils for the Symphony of the Cells. And you need to work with a wellness advocate. You need to work with somebody that's familiar with the oils. You need to work with your doctor collaboratively, but be your advocate. If you're helping somebody else, understand that this information can be a lot for somebody with Lyme disease, and it can be really overwhelming. So if you're the one supporting them, you watch the webinar, you help them do their orders, you help them lay out their protocol for the day, because I promise you, trying to wrap your head around this when you're sick and exhausted and have brain fog and are full of anxiety and depression, you won't do it. You're like, that's too much, I can't handle it. So if you're truly supporting somebody in your life that's ill, please know that. Please know that they might look fine on the outside. I didn't necessarily get the support I needed from my family and my friends when I was sick, because I looked fine. They couldn't look at me and see that I was sick, actually. Maybe they saw the puffy eyes and my exhaustion. They couldn't see my illness. And in that space, I felt really alone. I felt really, I won't say it, alone in that period of time. And I felt like I was in this dark tunnel, and I just kept holding on to the light at the end of the tunnel. And it was like day by day. Sometimes it was hour by hour, and sometimes it was friggin' minute by minute. But bit by bit, I climbed out of that. And I knew if I made it out to the other side, that I would freely share my story, that I would freely share what I've done, and that I would offer this information freely. And in that time, I know that literally thousands of people have worked with this protocol and customized it for themselves, and they've healed. I've gotten so many emails, letters, phone calls about my children, about my daughter, about my husband, about my own life, of people that are healing from using these essential oils. So this does not replace working with your doctor. Please work with your doctor, customize your needs, do your blood work, do the testing, do all of the things. But bringing this medicine in can really be a life changer. So, okay, thank you, everyone. I think we are there at the end. Oh, if you want to reach me, this was me just a few months ago on my roller skates. I can be found at aishaharley.com. I'm on Instagram at Aisha Alina. I have a business Facebook page at Aisha Harley, and you're welcome to email me directly at aishaharley@comcast.net. And again, Dr. Josie and I will be offering a webinar soon. So if you are not opted in for our Hello Visionary newsletter, go to hellovisionary.life, opt in for our newsletter, and we will keep you posted for our upcoming webinar. Thank you all so much.
Aisha, thank you very much. The chat is definitely blowing up. We know that there's questions and people want the protocol and all of those things. We definitely will get these slides out to you, but make sure you're signed up for that Visionary Leaders newsletter. That's where a lot of stuff goes. What's up?
I just wanted to speak a sec. Thank you, Aisha, so much. And I wanted to speak to this, like the deeper, more complex, in-depth webinars, we might chunk it up, that Aisha and I are going to do, and even the protocol. There's details, there's depth to it. As Aisha has, and anyone who is working with this is a complex situation, and most chronic diseases are. And so we wanted something like this where you can share this with people and the story and get the idea of how powerful the work with the oils can be. And so as a yes, and then the details, right? So we're going to come in with those to help and really help everyone. But as Aisha said, it's really important to have support. So if someone has Lyme and is working with it, a lot of the times their doctors, we say, go to a doctor. Most doctors don't know about the essential oils, and they don't know about what we're talking about. And so what you can do is work with an ILADS physician and then a wellness advocate. And so the goal of these more in-depth webinars is to help educate people with Lyme, but also the wellness advocates to be empowered and educated around how do you support someone whose brain might be really fuzzy and it's too much at the beginning. How do you help step them through the process, right, Aisha? So that's our goal with that, and we will be coming out with that.
Yeah, we're actually really excited to revisit all this information, and we have some incredible new products that we didn't have when I was sick that I take now, but are really critical: the copaiba, the adaptive, the turmeric. So we really want to introduce those new products into the protocols. Thank you all for the comments. I'm reading them all now and I'm touched. Thank you. And Renee, thank you. We connected in 2013, and she says she was pivotal in saving my life with Lyme disease. So Renee, it's awesome to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aisha. We really appreciate you sharing your story, and this is going to help so many people. So I'm going to stop this part of the recording here. Don't go anywhere because we're not leaving Zoom. We just want to have that as a fresh recording. And then we are going to move into the second half of our call, which is talking about sharing doTERRA, which is actually a really important part of this story. Can you all imagine if I had not shared doTERRA with Aisha? And so stick around for this next part because you're going to want to learn how to share.